today's tutorial, I will show you how to create this 3D short commercial animation using After Effects. Let's begin. The version of After Effects that I am using for this tutorial is 24.3. If you are in an older version of After Effects, you won't have access to all of these new features. With my project set, I am going to import the 3D models that I will be using for this commercial. I've created my 3D models using Cinema 4D. My soda can is exported as an OBJ file, and my water models are exported as a GLTF files. Head over to File, then Import, and select Multiple Files. Now, let's go ahead and import our 3D models. For my soda can, I'll select OBJ file, and then click Open. For my Water 01 model, I'll select its JLTF file, and then click Open. I'll do the same for my Water 02 model. Now that I have all my models imported, I would select Cancel to go back to After Effects. We can see our 3D models have been imported. While they are still selected, I am going to drag them into my timeline. We should now see the Model Settings window. For our Water 2 model, I want its size to match my composition, so I'll press this button here. Then I'll select OK. I'll do the same for my Water 01 model and my soda can model. Perfect! Now that my models are in my timeline, I am going to organize my files by placing them in a folder. I'll name this folder 3D Model, and I'll drag them into it. Now that that's taken care of, I'll focus back on this area here. I want to look around my scene, so I will create a camera. I'll head over to the Layers menu and select Camera. I'll leave these settings as they are and select OK. Now, I'll press the letter C on my keyboard to shuffle through my camera controls. I'll move around to have a better look at my models. Okay, they seem to look fine. To keep things organized, I will create this commercial in stages. The first stage will focus on positioning and animating my 3D model within the 3 scenes. The second stage will be applying the background and animation effects to my scenes. The third stage will involve adding and animating the text. And the final stage will be to light up my scene. Okay, I will begin by positioning my water models to my soda can. I can use these handles here, or I can press the letter R on my keyboard to display the layer's rotation settings and type in the values directly. I'll set the Y rotation value to 180, the X rotation value to 90, and the C rotation value to 180. I'll move this model to where I feel it works best. Perfect. I'll press the letter S on my keyboard to increase the size of the model. This looks good. I'll head over here to split my screen in two to adjust the distance a bit more. This looks good. I'll now focus on the second water model. I'll move this higher so that it aligns with the top of the soda can. I am trying to position the water to the edge here. Okay, this looks good. I'll head back to my active camera view. I'll select my soda can now and zoom out to get a better view. Okay, I like how this looks. So I will go ahead and select both my water models and parent them to the soda can. Now, when I move the soda can, all of the water models move with it. Perfect. I'll undo my movement and focus on animating the can. I'll select my camera layer and reset its settings. I'll zoom out and center the can. I'll hide both my water layers and lock them so I don't accidentally move them. Okay, back to my can. I want the can to appear on screen. To achieve that, I will animate the scale settings. I'll move the timeline marker to around here and add a keyframe. Then, I'll go to the beginning of my timeline and change the value to 0. Now, I want to add a follow-through animation. I want the can to overstretch and then settle into its position. So I'll add another keyframe here. For this keyframe, I will overscale it to 120. When we preview the animation, we can see that the can overstretches and then lands on its position. Perfect. Now I'll press the letter R on my keyboard to animate the rotation values of my can. I'll move to the end keyframe here and add a keyframes to the Y rotation, C rotation, and X rotation. I'll move my timeline marker here and play around with how I want my can to be positioned. There is no right or wrong way to pose your can. It's all based on personal preference. Once you're done with the pose, go ahead and drag the keyframes you just created to the beginning. Let's give it a quick preview. This looks good. Now, for this area here, I want the can to react to the scale animation. Since the can appears to be coming from the back to the front, I want the can to give the impression that it's coming towards the camera. So I will move my timeline here and rotate the X and C values. Okay, now when I preview the animation, it gives the illusion that it's coming towards the viewer. I'll exaggerate the scale more by increasing it to 135. I will do the same for the X and C rotation values. Okay. This looks good. I also want the can to have a slight rotation throughout this animation. so I will animate its Y rotation value. I'll move back to the beginning of my timeline and change the Y rotation value to -45. Let's take a look. On second thought, let me make it 45. I like that it's rotating from the left to right. Now that I have the keyframe laid out, it's time to smooth out the animation. I'll go ahead and select all of my keyframes and right mouse click, select Keyframe Assistant and choose Easy Ease. This will smooth out the keyframes. However, it still needs some work. I'll bring the work area closer. Alright, I feel that this area here needs to be smoother. I'll select both of these keyframes and open the graph editor. I'll give it more room. Okay, I want to focus on the speed graph, so I will make sure it's selected. I'll zoom in to get a better look and pull on these handles here to give it more breathing room. Okay, it's getting better. I'll pull this a bit more. Alright, I am beginning to see the follow through. I'll play around with this a bit more until I feel I have a smooth movement. Okay, this is looking good. I'll go back to my keyframes and do the same for my scale keyframe. Perfect. This is looking good. I'll go back to my timeline. Now, I want the can to be over here once the animation ends. I'll go ahead and activate my titles and action save guides. I'll move to the last keyframe and press Shift plus the letter P on my keyboard to add my position values. I'll add a keyframe and move my can to the right side of the screen. Then I'll move back a bit and position the can where I want it to appear. I'll drag the newly created keyframe to the beginning of my timeline. I'll preview it. Okay, this looks good. I'll smooth out this keyframe here by doing right mouse click, going to Keyframe Assistant, and selecting Easy Ease In. I'll move all of the last keyframes a bit forward. I'll select the last position keyframe and edit its speed using the graph editor. I'll put this handle here to have it ease in more. This looks really good. I will go back to my timeline. Now, I want to position the camera to where I can see more of the can, and not just a flat front view. I'll press the letter C on my keyboard to shuffle through my camera controls and position the can where I want it to be. This is good. Now, I have enough space for the text that I will place in this area. I'll preview my animation one more time. Yep, this looks perfect to me. For the next scene, I want the can to animate closer to the camera. I'll move the work area a bit further down and zoom out a bit. Around here is good. I'll add a keyframe to my position and my X and C rotation value. I'll move a bit further down the timeline, and here is where I'll begin to animate the anticipation for the can. It's beginning to look good. I'll adjust it some more to perfect it. This is looking great. I'll drag both of these keyframes here and move further down the timeline to work on the end pose. Okay, let's preview my animation. It's coming along well. I want the can to move backward in anticipation and then propel forward towards the camera with force. I'll move these last two keyframes closer together to create a rapid end movement. This is looking really good. I'll smooth out my movements using the graph editor. I'll unselect both keyframes and adjust them one at a time. Perfect. Now I'll adjust the speed of the movement by pulling the handles. There's no perfect speed, it's all about personal preference. I'll take a look at the entire animation. It looks great. For the second part of the animation, I want the can to land closer to the camera. Instead of moving the can, I'll animate the camera getting closer. I'll drag my timeline marker here and select the camera layer. In its transform settings, I'll add keyframes to its position and point of interest. I'll press the letter U on my keyboard. I'll move to the end of my animation, press the letter C on my keyboard to select the camera tools, and begin to frame my scene. This looks good. I'll scroll to preview my scene. This looks good. I'll select these 4 keyframes and add an easy ease. Next, I'll select the last 2 keyframes and head over to the graph editor to smooth out the movements. I'll do the same for the other 2 keyframes. I'll preview the animation now. It's looking good, but I feel the last part needs more work. I see a stutter in the movement. I'll select the camera's last 2 keyframes and adjust the handles here. Let's take another look. This looks great. I can visually feel the impact the can makes in its final movement towards the camera. I'll adjust my work area and take another look at my animation. Perfect. This is looking really good. I'll extend my work area a bit more. Overall, I want the can to be rotating, so I'll go to the Y rotation settings and drag this keyframe all the way to the end of the work area. Okay, I will preview the animation. It's looking good. I'll extend the animation further down and I'll preview it again. Okay, this is looking much better. I'll adjust the camera for the ending a bit more because I want to see more of the top lid. Okay, this is looking better. I'll press the letter U on my keyboard to focus on the keyframes I used. Now that I finished animating the can, I'm going to focus on animating the water models. Go ahead and select the water models and press the letter S on your keyboard because we are going to animate their scale values. I'll make sure I am at the end of my can animation and add a keyframe to the scale value of my water 01 layer. Now I'll move to adjust before the can moves towards the camera and change the scale value to 0. Alright, this is a good start. I'll do the same for the water 02 layer. However, when I select the water 02 layer, its anchor point is on top. I want the water to come from the top lid of the can. If I start animating the scale now, you can see the point of origin is from the top. I'll press Command or Control and C to undo. I want the point of origin to come from the lid of the can. So I will need to move its anchor point to be level with the can. To begin, I will change my active camera to the right view. I'll move this down using my camera controls. I'll go ahead and select the anchor point tool and drag it to the top of the can lid. This looks good. I'll go to Custom View to move around my scene and confirm that the water is indeed coming out of the lid of the can. I'll press the letter C on my keyboard to shuffle through my camera controls. Okay, I like where the water is now, but I need to move the anchor point lower. I'll head over to the anchor point tool and drag the anchor point to be level with the lid. This looks good. I'll change the view to the left side and test to see if the point of origin now comes from the lid. Yep, it does. Perfect. I'll go back to my active camera view and add a keyframe to the scale value. I'll move to here and adjust the scale settings just to see if it's actually animating from the lid. Okay, this is looking really good. I'll set this to 0 and move the keyframe that I created here. Let's preview the animation. Alright, this is looking perfect. I'll select the 4 keyframes and add an easy ease. Then I'll select these 2 keyframes and adjust their speed in the graph editor. I'll zoom in a bit. And oh, what happened? I'll undo this and select the 2 keyframes again and pull the handle. Okay, this is looking good. I'll select the 4 keyframes again and push them further down the timeline. Alright, this looks good. I'll move my marker here and press Shift and the letter T on my keyboard to show the opacity settings. I'll add keyframes for both water layers opacity. I'll move to the beginning and change the opacity values to 0. I'll select these 2 keyframes and add an easy ease in. I'll adjust the speed of these and do a quick preview. Okay, this looks good. However, I feel I can position the water 01 layer better. I'll select it and press the letter R on my keyboard. I'll play around with the rotation values until I feel it's in a good position. Again, what I am doing here is all based on personal preference. Yours can be different. Okay, I'll preview my animation. This is looking amazing. It's time to move on to the final scene, which is the landing scene. I'll go ahead and hide all the layer settings and move my work area to the end of my timeline. At the 5-second mark, I am going to add a cut here. I'll select all of my layers and do Shift, Command or Control plus the letter D on my keyboard to cut all of our layers. I'll drag these selected layers upward. I'll go ahead and remove the keyframes and reset my camera layer. I'll do the same for the rest of the layers. Since I only want the landing scene to feature the soda can, I won't need the water layers. So I'll delete both of them and reset the position and rotation values for my soda can layers. I'll press the letter S on my keyboard twice to show the scale values and scale the model down a bit. Then I'll position the soda can on the left side of the screen. I'll move the camera, leaving space on the right. Next, I'll animate the Y rotation value to introduce a subtle movement throughout this scene. Let's take a preview to see how it flows. Alright, this is looking good. Now, I'll preview the entire timeline to see how everything comes together. Perfect! It's time to move on to our next phase, which is adding backgrounds and effects. I'll head to the beginning of the timeline, hide my layer settings, and lock them just so I don't change any settings accidentally. Next, I'll navigate to Layer, then New, and select Solid. I'll name this layer Background. After that, I'll drag my background layer all the way to the bottom and add a gradient ramp effect. In my Effects and Presets window, I'll search for a gradient ramp and apply it to the new background layer. Perfect. I'll adjust the anchor point until I have it positioned as I like. This looks good. Now I'll change the first color to a dark purple and the second color to a light purple. There we go. This looks good. Now I want to add an animation effect to create the impression that the soda can is emerging from a portal in the background. I'll drag in another solid layer and apply the CC Radio Scale Wipe effect to it. I'll change the completion value to 28 and move the anchor point to where the soda can appears. Let me adjust it a bit. I'll move the anchor point here and ensure the reverse transition box is selected. Let's see how this looks. Alright, this looks good. Next, I'll add a fill effect and change the color to blue. Perfect. I'll now add a keyframe to the completion settings. I'll press the letter U on my keyboard to reveal the keyframes and set the values to 100. I'll move the keyframe to the beginning of the timeline. Then I'll move a few frames ahead and change the value to 0. Let's do a quick preview. This looks great. I'll go ahead and adjust the speed of the second keyframe. I'll right click and head over to Keyframe Assistant and select Easy Ease In. I'll drag this handle here. It's too fast. I'll add an Easy Ease Out to the first keyframe and adjust its speed. Alright, this is looking good. I'll press Command or Control plus the letter D to duplicate this layer and press the letter U to see its keyframes. I'll change its colors to a dark reddish color. I'll duplicate that layer and change its color to purple. On a second thought, I'll change it to a Fandango color. I'll duplicate that layer again and make this one yellow. Now, when I preview this, okay, it's coming along. I'll adjust the timing for these now. I'll do some final tweaks. I like how the speed flows now. It's much better. I'll duplicate this layer, and for this layer, I'm going to paste the gradient ramp effect that I used for the first layer I created. I'll go ahead and select the first layer, copy the gradient ramp effect, and paste it onto the layer I just created. I'll delete the fill effect and paste the gradient ramp here. I'll take a quick preview. Perfect, I like it. I'll select the first layer and instead of purple, I'll change it to a blue color. Alright. I also want to add a white circular ripples that animate from the center. So I'll go to the layer menu then New, and select Shape Layer. I'll make sure I have the ellipse tool selected, and I'll click, hold, and drag to create a circle. If you want the circle to be perfect and centered, press and hold the Shift, Command, or Control key while dragging with your mouse. Okay, this looks good. I'll move my shape layer to the top and reduce the thickness of the circle. This looks perfect. Oh, what's this? I'll just close this. I will now center our newly created circle where our soda can appears. Alright, this is looking good. Now I will use this layer's keyframes as a reference. I want the new circle animations to have the same number of frames. So I'll go ahead and select the new shape layer, add a keyframe to its scale value, and scale this to... Oh wait, I need to reposition its anchor point. I'll undo this, select the anchor tool, and press and hold the Command key or Control key to move the anchor point to the center of this shape layer. Alright, this looks good. I'll now scale the shape layer until it's out of frame. I'll move to the beginning of my timeline and set the scale to 0. Let me do a quick preview. This looks great. I will apply an easy ease in to the second keyframe and adjust its speed with the graph editor. This looks really good. I'll move this layer further down. Oh, this again. I'll close this and drag the shape layer a bit further down. Perfect. I like the overlapping effect it's creating. I'll duplicate this shape layer and push the second shape layer further down. This is looking really good, but I feel if I add a drop shadow, it will make this even better. So I'll go to my Effects and Presets window, search for drop shadow, and drag it to my shape layer. I'll increase the distance and the softness. Okay, this looks good. I'll copy this effect and paste it onto the other shape layer. This is looking really good. Now I want to reuse this effect for when the can moves towards the camera, which is around here. So I will select all of my effect layers and press the Command or Control plus the letter D to duplicate them all. I'll drag them to the top and push them further down the timeline. I'll just time the animation to when my soda can begins its movement. Okay, this looks good. I just need to move the anchor points to align with the can's movement. I'll adjust this value here. Alright, this is good. I'll copy this value and paste it to the rest. Perfect. I'll move the two shape layers to be perfectly centered. There we go. This looks good. However, our shape layers does not completely go out of frame. While my shape layers are selected, I'll press the letter S on my keyboard and increase the values for the ending keyframe. I'll do the same for the shape layer below. Oh, I think I messed up. I accidentally created a new keyframe. I'll make sure I am on the second shape layer keyframe and then increase the values. Perfect. Now, when I play the animation, both my shape layers should now animate out of frame. I'll select all the new layers I created, press Shift, Command or Control, and the letter D to cut them, and then press Delete. I noticed that the background after the second effect is the same color as my first scene. I'll change it to another color so that visually the viewers can see it's a separate scene. I'll preview the animation once more. Alright, this is looking good. Let's finish by adding a background to our third scene. I'll duplicate this layer and drag it to the top. And make it be the background for the last scene. I'll delete its CC radio scale wipe effect. And I'll make sure this layer covers the entire length of the scene. Perfect, this looks good. Moving on, it's time to add our text. I'll make sure my layers are all hidden and I'll lock them so that I don't change any settings. I'll go ahead and select the text tool and I'll type in the word new. I'll move the anchor point to the bottom left and I'll add a drop shadow effect. I'll increase the distance. Then I'll change the color to a darker tone than that of the text. I'll duplicate the drop shadow effect. I'll change the color to black. And I'll change the settings till I get a nice soft shadow. Okay, this looks good. I'll duplicate this text layer and I'll move the duplicate version below it. I'll change the text to a flavor. I'll change the text color to a bluish color. The same for its first drop shadow effect. Okay, this is looking good. Now I want to animate the text. I'll move my timeline close to the beginning and select both text layers. I'll press the letter P on my keyboard and add keyframes to their positions. I'll go back to the beginning of my timeline and move my two text layers to the left side of the screen. Okay, I'll preview the animation. It's almost good. I'll drag the layers forward a bit and stretch out both keyframes. I'll add an easy ease in to the end keyframes and adjust the speed. I'll move the keyframes a bit further. This looks good to me. I'll offset the text layers so that the animations overlap. This is looking really good now. For the second scene, I want the text to animate outright when the can moves towards the camera. I'll add keyframes to both positions, move further down the timeline, and move both my text layers out of sight. I'll add an easy ease movement to these keyframes and adjust the speed. Oh, let me do this again. I'll select these two keyframes and I'll adjust their speed. Oh, okay. This looks good now. And I'll do the same for the other two. I'll preview the animation. I'll add more drag to the beginning movement. This is coming along. I'll preview the animation from the beginning. Alright, this is good. I'll clean up my layers. And the animation a bit. You don't have to do this. It's all personal preference. But you are welcome to follow along. Alright, I'll now focus on our ending scene. I'll duplicate both of our text layers and position them at the end of my timeline. I will also remove their keyframes. I'll position them on the right side of the screen and name the bottom text Tutos and the top text Only In. I'll lay out my text to my personal preference and change the colors to something different. Including their shadow colors. I'll adjust the distance. This looks good. I'll move them a bit more to the right. This is coming along. Now I want to create a dynamic transition, but I am short on time. So I'll use a free plugin called Animation Composer. You don't have to get this plugin. You can create your own transitions. For the sake of this tutorial, I will go ahead and use Animation Composer. I have the link in the description of this video. Alternatively, you can head over to the tutusdigital.com website, go to the store and click on the links that will send you directly to their site. The plugin is free. All you need to do is create a free account and you will have access to the basic features, which is all we really need. However, if you decide to purchase any of their services at a later date, I would appreciate it if you use the Tutus affiliate link. This will help support the channel and enable us to create more amazing tutorials like this one. Also, if you would like me to create a tutorial on how to use this plugin, let me know in the comment section below. Back to After Effects. Once I have Animation Composer installed on my machine, I will head over to Windows and select Animation Composer. A new window will appear. Here, I will go to the Transition folder and select any of the free transitions. Once I have chosen one, I'll move my timeline between the clips I want to transition. I will select the transition I want and click Add. Perfect. Now, when I preview my animation, I will see the transition take effect. This looks good, but I don't like the color distortion effect it creates. I'll remove that by unchecking the color distortion box. Okay, I'll preview my entire timeline to see how this looks. This looks great. I'll adjust the text position a bit. Alright, this looks really good. For this phase, we are going to add lights to our scene. Head over to Layer, then New, and select Lights. In the light settings, make sure the light type is set to Environment. I'll increase the intensity to 250. I'll leave the other settings as they are and select OK. Perfect. Our environment lights now surround the scene with an image-based map for realistic lighting and shadows. You can use the default map or replace it with an HDRI file like HDR or EXR for custom effects. For this tutorial, I'll use the default map. Note that this may slow down your computer. So I'll select the Draft 3D button to preview my scene quickly. I'll remove my guidelines and do a quick preview. Perfect. However, in Draft 3D mode, we won't be able to see our Animation Composer transition. The transition effect will only be visible when we are not using Draft 3D mode. When I unchecked it, you can see how long it takes my computer to process this information. So I'll go back and select Draft 3D mode. Now, if you want to move around the HDRI map that lights the scene, you can do so by going to the Environment Light Layers and under Transform, go ahead and rotate the X and Y values to set up the lights however you like. I'll give you an example. If I want to animate the light movement, I'll add a keyframe where I want the movement to begin. Then I'll move forward a bit in my timeline and rotate the light to where it best fits my scene. This will automatically create keyframes. I'll preview the movement. Perfect. This looks good. I'll now focus on lighting up the ending scene by duplicating my environment light layer. I'll remove the keyframes and adjust the lights to fit the scene best. I'll reduce its intensity to 200. I'll make some more adjustments. Okay, this is looking really good. I'll preview my animation. This is coming out really well. Alright, you now know how to create an amazing 3D commercial using After Effects. If you want me to make a tutorial on how I added the sound effects to this video, let me know by commenting on this video. If you'd like to download the 3D models used in this tutorial, head over to the tutosdigital.com website. Alternatively, if you'd like to purchase a project file and save hours of work, visit the Tutos store page, where you can download this project file and more. Your contribution will help us create more amazing tutorials like this one. If this video was helpful, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching Tutos, your tutorial channel. Till the next one.